News 36 Sports Special. Live from the Charlotte Coliseum and from Portland, Oregon, it's the Charlotte Hornets Draft Party with News 36 Sports Director Jim Celania and UNCC basketball coach Jeff Mullins. Tonight on the Hornets Draft Party, we'll profile the hottest pro prospects in tonight's NBA Draft. Plus a visit from college star Alonzo Mourning. How will he feel in teal? And the impact of Larry Johnson on the Charlotte Hornets. And the hottest ball player in the Queen City talks candidly about his shot at the pros. It's all tonight on the Charlotte Hornets Draft Party.
Good night, everybody. Hello, everybody. Good night. Welcome to the Charlotte Coliseum. Jim Celania live along with Coach Jeff Mullins. And Jeff, right now, a lot of people showed up here. We certainly are glad that people tuned in for us. In 1964, you had no idea where you were going in the draft. Tonight, Alonzo Mourning does.
Well, it's got to be very comforting for Alonzo to know exactly where he's going to go. But even more comforting for the Hornet brass to be that confident. They've done their homework. They know what they're going to do. And so they can sit back and relax at least throughout the first round.
Okay. I'm trying to get closer to Jeff because I'm having a hard time hearing him right now. Let's go into the war room. This is a place the Hornets set up. Now, this might be a real war room if you didn't know where you were picking, but the Hornets already know.
Well, again, they know what they're going to do in the first round, but a lot will happen between that first and second round, and there's a lot of things going on right now that they're trying to keep abreast of. There's been a few trades today that affect the draft choices and draft picks, so they have to keep current on everything's happening so that they know when that 35th pick comes around what they're going to do.
They got to know who's there and who they want, too. Let's go live now to Portland, Oregon. Our man Carl Click is there. And Carl, first of all, tell me, why are they having this thing in Portland?
Well, Jim, contrary to some belief, it's not the booby prize for losing in the World Championship to the Chicago Bulls. Here in Portland, starting later on this week, is the Tournament of Americas, and that is the Olympic qualifying event for that new Olympic team, that Dream Team USA they're talking about with the Barkleys and the Jordans and all those guys. They make their first appearance here on Sunday to qualify for the Olympics, which everybody pretty much expects they're going to do, playing against some of the lesser powers in the Western Hemisphere. But because all the media wanted to be here for that Dream Team, they decided to put the draft here as well, so there wouldn't be all this transcontinental moving between the draft and this Tournament of America starting out. As far as the draft is going on, it's just beginning now here at the Memorial Coliseum in Portland, Oregon. And I've seen two experts who've tried to predict the first, say, 10 picks, and they've predicted exactly the same. So there are not going to be a lot of surprises in this draft. Of course, Orlando has the first pick. They'll be making that in moments, and we all know they're going to take this 7'1" center from LSU called Shaquille O'Neal. After that, of course, you know, Charlotte is next, and we expect Alonzo Mourning to be picked right there. Hopefully, if things go well, we'll have him right here. He'll be able to talk to you folks in a few minutes. Jim?
All right, Carl, thanks a lot. I'm sure Portland has no idea who they're going to be getting in the draft tonight. Let's go out to our Will Hampton right now. Will Hampton, who is our roving reporter. What you got out there, Willie?
Well, I'm roving up right above you. If we can take a look down there, you can see where you guys are. Good looking set, and we are ready to bring you the best coverage tonight of the NBA draft right here from the Coliseum. A lot of people filing in. Are you ready for Alonzo Mourning?
Absolutely.
Who else would you like to see this Hornet team bring in that second round?
Well, they need a real good point guard, you know, to bag Muggsy up. And, that would really be great if they could really get a good pick in that.
Okay, thank you very much. The fans, they know what they're talking about. They are into this team, Jim, and we'll be bouncing around here all night talking to them. Back to you.
All right, well, Jeff, let's talk about Alonzo Mourning. Before we go to Shaquille O'Neal, you think he might be the perfect center for the Hornets?
Well, I really do, Jim. I think it's a great pick for the Hornets. I think for two reasons. First of all, he's an impact player, I think, which is very few rookies are. But even more importantly for the Hornets, I think he's a very complimentary impact player. I think what he brings to the Hornets is great defensive skills. They don't need a lot of scoring that first year. He'll get it through his hustling and intensity, but he won't be a polished offensive player, I don't think, his first year. But with Larry Johnson, Kendall Gill, and Del Curry, they don't need that. What they need is that defensive stopper in the back and that rebounder and running the floor, and he can do all three of those things very well.
Okay, we pretty much know all four players and how they're going to be taken. So let's go to those players right now and take a look at the man-child, the monster from LSU, Shaquille O'Neal. Tremendous physical ability, maybe the most since Wilt Chamberlain.
Well, there's no doubt about it. He's a very imposing, talented young basketball player. I really think, you know, in the NBA today, a big guy like that can have more of an impact defensively, though, than he can offensively with all the double downs and all the double teaming that goes on in the low block. If he comes in with a defensive head on and really wants to impact the league that way, I think he'll really have be a big help to Orlando.
And here's what the Hornet front office thinks about Shaquille O'Neal.
He can do things that are just very easy with very little effort. So once he learns to compete on the level, I think the big question mark is how much he matures and how the consistency that he's going to have night in and night out. There's no question Shaquille O'Neal can be a very dominating force in the NBA.
And, of course, we'll get to see a lot of him when he plays for Orlando. Now let's talk about Alonzo Mourning, who will be drafted by the Hornets tonight and has promised to be in camp, Jeff.
Well, and as we look at that first tape, the thing we see is a shot that's blocked, starts a fast break. There's a little jump hook on the baseline, which he got very good at his senior year. And, of course, we all know that when Mutombo left, his offense really picked up. There he's catching a nice low post move. And, of course, playing in the Big East, a very, very competitive league and a very physical league, will help him get ready as we see him running the floor there.
What I like about Alonzo, he blocks the shot and he doesn't foul a lot, and he also keeps the ball in play, reminiscent of Bill Russell. And here's what the Hornets think about the next Charlotte Hornet.
Well, I think he could be a better pro player than he was a college player. I think the college game inhibited him a little bit because of the they don't let you play that much. Up here at our level, you can be much more physical. Now, he does have to learn to be a little bit more discreet in how he plays physically, but he's going to be a physical player. His strengths are shot blocking and rebounding.
Now, Jeff, let's talk about the question mark in this draft. A lot of people argue back and forth about Christian Laettner. Can he make it in the NBA?
Oh, I don't think there's any doubt that he'll make it in the NBA. And I think when you're picked in the top 3, though, people want to know not only are you going to make it, are you going to be an impact player? I think Christian will be a very good NBA player. I think he's got a real good chance to be at least as good as Lambeer was for Detroit. He does a lot of those things. Even though they're projecting him to play forward, he's a good outside shooter, he's physical, and he will take the beating inside.
He says he's tough enough to do it. Let's see what the Hornets think about the Duke star.
Christian's he's gonna be a terrific pro. I think if it's any other year, the Hornets would have taken Christian, except that we need a center.
Who have 5 minutes to make that selection.
David Stern with the welcome to the 1992 draft.
Okay, so we just cut into TNT. We will do that when we think it's time. I think Stern just said in 5 minutes Orlando must make their selection. So we're getting close to hearing Shaquille O'Neal's name called in Portland, Oregon. Let's move on now to the 4th player that will be taken in this draft, if everybody's right, and that's Jimmy Jackson from Ohio State. He's a highly touted guard. Some people say he can play swingman. And let's take a look at Jackson and see what the credentials are on Jimmy Jackson. What do you think about Jackson as a player in the NBA?
I really like Jimmy Jackson. I think he's a prototype NBA guard leader. He's a pretty good shooter. He makes the play extremely well. I think he's the kind of guy that makes all the other players on the floor better. He's got a body that can play very physical and on the NBA guard level. I think he's going to be a very good NBA player. I'm not sure he's the 4th best player in the draft, and I'll tell you who I think might be later.
Okay, we'll do that later. Right now, our Will Hampton has more with the first true big man the Hornets will get. And before we go to this package, we'll warn you, we may switch live to TNT at any moment. But here's Will's piece on Alonzo Mourning.
With Alonzo in the middle, the difference is defense.
Shot blocking is a God-gifted talent. It's nothing that you practice or try to work on. When you're blessed with the physical talents to do those type of things, you know, and you just take advantage of them.
Defensively, guys like Alonzo Mourning make other players better. I look for Del Curry and, say, Johnny Newman, Muggsy Bogues, their defense really to get better, not because of them working, hopefully, as hard as they can all summer, but a guy like Alonzo Mourning should really help their defense considerably.
We all know that Alonzo will be the pick. We know that he'll make the Hornets better. About the only suspense left is, will he make it to camp on time? And he's promised that he will.
A couple of 100,000 isn't that important, and waiting out on, and if it's going to affect your year.
22 years old and on the threshold of making all his dreams come true.
I'm just patiently waiting for that to happen, You know, it hasn't happened yet, but I'm definitely waiting for it. And it's exciting, especially with the amount of money that the guys are making these days, and just have to learn to keep everything in perspective and do things that you need to do to keep it, you know.
Will Hampton, News 36 Sports.
We'll be back live to the Hornets draft party after this, and we will break out of this commercial if they take Shaquille O'Neal shortly, right after this.
Coming up on the Hornets draft party, we'll take you live to Portland for the NBA's #1 pick, plus an expert analysis of the Hornets lineup.
Magic selects Shaquille O'Neal from Louisiana State University.
Okay, so Shaquille O'Neal walks up and will become a member of the Orlando Magic. And right there, I want you to make a comparison between Shaquille O'Neal and Alonzo Mourning as he walks up, just to let the folks out there know there's been some trades made today. Rolando Blackman has been traded to the Knicks. He leaves Dallas for a first-round draft pick in 1995. And Utah, Jeff, just traded Blue Edwards, Eric Murdoch, and their 1992 first-round pick to Milwaukee for Jay Humphries and Larry Krystkowiak. So 2 trades made in the NBA. Now back to what you think about Shaquille and Alonzo compared to 2 of the greats of the game.
Well, I think there is a comparison there. I think Shaquille is obviously a physical, huge man, just like Wilt was. And what I've seen of his game thus far, he wants the action to come to him. Bill Russell always said it great. He said, when I played with the Celtics, I tried to use my talent to bring out the best in my teammates. He always felt Wilt wanted his teammates to bring the best out in him. I think Alonzo Mourning will be much like that with the Hornets. He'll use his talents to bring out the best in his teammates, and therefore I said he not only be an impact player, but a very complimentary player for the Hornets. I think he can have as much impact, maybe not the first year. Both of them will have a lot to learn the first year, but certainly for the Hornets, the future looks very bright with Alonzo Mourning there.
2 teams that I would think would be headed for the playoffs with the nucleus of fine players they now have. That's Orlando and the Charlotte Hornets. And of course, Shaquille's going to have a tremendous impact on Orlando and that team, as Larry Johnson did here. Our Stephen Wood has more on that.
With the first pick in the 1991 NBA draft, the Charlotte Hornets select Larry Johnson from University of Nevada, Las Vegas.
The Hornets made what turned out to be the obvious choice with their first pick last year. Although debated at the start of the season, it was clear who the NBA's top rookie was. No doubt, Larry Johnson was the man. He averaged over 19 points, 11 rebounds a game. He was the Hornets' go-to guy down the stretch. What more could you ask from a rookie?
To Johnson at the buzzer, it'll count. Oh! Hornets win it! Hornets have defeated the Seattle Supersonics.
I would like to thank my teammates, my coaches, and everyone for making this possible. I'd like to thank Coach for presenting me with this award and everyone who voted for me. And if anybody here who didn't vote for me, I would like for you to leave the room right now.
No. Who knows? Maybe Alonzo Mourning is this year's Rookie of the Year. I'm Stephen Wood, News 36 Sports.
And the Hornets will draft Alonzo Mourning soon, very quickly here. We'll come back live, and you won't miss that pick, so stay with us.
Next on the Hornets Draft Party, more on Charlotte's pick of the draft. Stay tuned.
Welcome back live to the Charlotte Coliseum. The Hornets are dangerously close to picking, and we will switch there as soon as we think it's time. Joining us now, Hornet forward guard.
Charlotte Hornets select Alonzo Mourning from Georgetown University.
Surprising no one again. Alonzo Mourning is 6'9½", weighs 250 pounds.
So Alonzo Mourning has been chosen. There's your new teammate, Dell. What do you think about this big guy?
That's the player everybody was hoping for. You know, he's a big presence inside. He's going to shot block, defend, get some rebounds for us. He can also score. He's going to take a lot of pressure off of Larry on the low post, and he's going to open up the outside for players like myself and Kendall.
What do you think the difference between he and Shaquille O'Neal? Either one fine to get, or would you, I mean, obviously you're not going to sit here and say I would have preferred to have Shaquille O'Neal. This guy seems to be possibly more of a complete player than Shaquille.
I think the only difference going to be is that Shaquille will make a little bit more money.
That's all you guys talk about, money, Jeff. When you came out in '64, did you talk about money?
No, as a matter of fact, it was quite a bit different. I guess we weren't as smart back then.
Yeah. Dell, again, you live with these trade rumors, but with this guy, I would think with that house you bought, I would think you want to stay right here with Larry and Kendall and Alonzo and the fine teammates Muggsy Bogues and the team you got right now.
Yeah, I think, I should feel pretty secure. You know, with an inside player like Alonzo, you'll need someone on the outside to open up the inside for him and Larry. You know, Larry was getting double teamed just about every game last year. Alonzo on the block, it should free up some pressure, but having me on the outside should even help even more.
As a coach, how does a guy like Alonzo Mourning help Del Curry's game?
Well, I was just watching that smile on Dell's face. It's genuine because we played a lot alike. We're both shooters, and, you know, there's going to be a lot of rejected shots that are going to turn into fast breaks that are going to end up in jump shots. He can let go of the three-point shot a little bit more confidently, knowing he's got rebounders under there like Larry and Alonzo. Plus, Dell, I think, is a great wing denial, gets a lot of steals by denying. He can take more chances on the perimeter now because he's got a shot blocker behind him if he gets beat. So I think he's going to get 3 or 4 more easy shots a game, and that makes you smile, right, Dell?
Hey, and now you can release on some of those shots. Alonzo gets the ball, an easy dunk for Dell. I mean, we're going to see that happen now, aren't we?
Exactly. But getting back to the defense, you know, in the past, our guards and forwards are so content on trying not to let their man beat them because they knew, you know, we didn't have that shot blocker in the back to help us protect us a little bit. We're going to be able to gamble a little more and try for a few more steals, and I think that's what Allen wants us to do, try to get an up-tempo game even more than we had last year.
All right, Dell, stick with us. We're going to go to one more commercial break. We'll go back out and ask Will to find out what the fans think about Alonzo Mourning. We'll be right back live with the NBA Draft Party after this.
Stick around. We'll have more from Coach Jeff Mullins when the Charlotte Hornets Draft Party continues.
1, 2, 3.
Now Gatorade goes wherever the game takes you. Gatorade Thirst Quencher, now in 32-ounce plastic bottles. Wherever your game takes you, Gatorade can put back what you need.
Welcome back live to the Coliseum. Jim Celania along with UNCC basketball coach Jeff Mullins. Alonzo Mourning has been taken by the Charlotte Hornets. And let's go out to Portland now and hear his reaction.
Beautiful city. I had a chance to visit. The fan support is there and it's close to home. So I'm a Southern boy, so it's pretty much home for me.
Okay, congratulations. Back to you, Bob.
Not Bob, Jim. Hey, let's go back to Will now, out there and find out what the fans think about Alonzo. Hey, Will.
Oh, the fans love him. Look right here, we got a Georgetown basketball fan. Don't you believe that this guy is very happy?
Oh, yeah, Will's definitely happy. Alonzo Mourning, #1 draft pick. The Charlotte Hornets this year, well, #2 in the pick. But, hey, we're going all the way this year. Chicago, look out. LA, look out.
This guy's going crazy. But let me tell you, Jim, what we're going to see with Alonzo Mourning. I'm Larry Bird. This is Alonzo Mourning. Here's what's going to happen. I'm going to shoot the ball. It's going to be trouble.
Yeah, you're Larry Bird, right? Will's Larry Bird now.
And that guy's Alonzo Mourning.
That's right. Hey,
it all works.
With that trade, Jeff, an interesting point you bring up. Delaney Rudd might be available now, the former Wake Forest guard, who's played very well point guard for the Utah Jazz, and the Hornets have looked shopping around for another point guard to back up Muggsy.
Well, it looks like there'd be one that they'd certainly have a good shot at, because with Humphrey and Stockton now, I doubt that the Utah will be as anxious to re-sign him. And, of course, Delaney's from Wake Forest right up the road, so that might help give them the backup. And they'd have 2 point guards from Wake Forest.
Okay, we want to get to something real quickly right here, and this is a piece on Henry Williams. What does he think about tonight? Will he be drafted?
I think the same thing happened just like coming out of high school, going to college. A lot of people will overlook me. A lot of people will think that maybe they'll think that I'm a pretty good talent, but they'll find somebody they feel a little bit better about. So I think somebody will overlook me again, and I think in a few years it'll work out in my favor, as it has the last few years in my careers.
Do you have any thoughts or any fears at all that you might not get drafted? That maybe the second round will pass and your name is never called?
That's one thing I don't fear. I don't think that I won't get drafted. I think if I'm the last player taken in the draft, I think I'll at least get drafted.
And what about Henry in the pros? You might think of a Joe Dumars or maybe Craig Hodges.
I really feel that my game can be patterned after those guys, and I really don't think you can label a player in the NBA, a point guard or a shooting guard, as a type that will be just a playmaker. I guess my major dream or my next goal that I'll continue to strive for, whether it takes a year, 10 years, 15 years, just be the NBA All-Star. And I think that right now that's far from a lot of people's mind, because they're saying I'm trying to make the NBA, you know, but I think a lot of things are destined to happen. Just as my career here at UNC Charlotte kind of ran up on a lot of people who didn't really expect me to do anything, I think my NBA career will do the same thing.
Sort of like this guy, you're panning for gold, that next step.
Exactly, and right now his pan is empty and my pan is empty, so we're just trying to wait around, and hopefully when he fills his up, I'll fill mine up.
We're back live at the Coliseum. Christian Laettner's been taken third by the Minnesota Timberwolves. About 20 seconds. Is Henry going to get drafted tonight, Jeff?
Jim, I think he is. And, you know, I have an additional asset. I can look inside Henry Williams. I know what he's made of, and I think somebody else will find out that, too, at the end
We
of the
hope
level.
so. Thanks for being with us, Coach. Henry's with his family in Indianapolis. Thanks for being with us. We'll see you back.